Hello and welcome back to yet another episode in the what is now long-running Terrace podcast series on the laws of the game. I am Craig Anderson, former referee, and I am joined by my legal associate, Ewan Taylor.
Yes, hello Craig. Here for any legal queries that may come up.
And we've covered our, in the previous episodes, the first 5 laws of the game, so we are going to crack on this time with Law 6, and Law 6 is the other match officials. And I will share my screen. So yeah, we've got the other match officials, and so it's reminding you that obviously you've got the referee, and this is where I guess there's a bit of distinction to be made, because in order to run a game of football, you technically only need to have a referee. So if you're thinking about amateur football, if you're thinking about football at even the lower end of the kind of semi-professional game in Scotland, there will only be a referee. Then when you step up a little bit, you'll get your 2 assistant referees, which we'll talk about as well. But even up to the championship level in Scotland, unless the game's on TV, it will only be 3 officials. Then you've got your 4th official, who will be involved in Premiership matches and TV games. And then you also now have your VARs. There are obviously, and there has been, and that was something we used to see at Scottish Cup semi-finals and finals, there's provision for the additional assistant referees, who are obviously kind of a bit obsolete with VAR in place now. Mm-hmm. But you used to also get them behind the goals, and they're still kind of accounted for under the laws of the game. So we'll crack on with basically talking through this. So that law is basically indicating that they can be involved, and all of them, and this does include the VAR, are supposed to assist the referee, but the final decision will always be taken by the referee. Obviously, that's important in terms of VAR. That the only exception I think, and this comes on, is the kind of factual stuff with like offsides and things like that, where technically the guidance is, even in those cases, the guidance is being provided by the other officials, but the referee is the one who ultimately makes the final decision. Just like if an assistant puts their flag up and the referee decides it's not offside, well, it's not offside because it's what the referee gives. And yeah, you've now got this distinction of on-field and off-field match officials, where like all the guys who are on the pitch are on-field officials. And yeah, the referee is allowed to relieve them of their duties, which is, I think, always an interesting thing. And yeah, the other match officials are supposed to assist the referee with offences when they have a clearer view than the ref. And if they are the one who've kind of submitted, like if they're the one who've, for example, reported to the ref on the red card, then they're the one who's supposed to kind of send a match report and so on. Yeah, and then there's competition rules about who should replace a match official if they're unable to start or continue. And typically with a game with 4 officials, it'll either be, it's usually the 4th official, but it could in some cases be the senior assistant referee. But there have been cases, and this even happened when Kelly were in the championship. We played Partick Thistle. I can't remember if the referee got injured and then one of the assistants had to take his place, and then, or if it was just one of the assistants got injured, but they had to put basically a call out over the tannoy to try and identify. And that, this is Kilmarnock v Partick Thistle in the second tier. It's not like, there's probably like 5,000 people at the game, but they had to put a call out, and basically someone out of the crowd was kind of whisked onto the pitch to run the line for the second half.
You weren't tempted, Craig?
Well, I don't think I'd be qualified anymore. Yeah, I wouldn't have minded. But I think pretty much they were essentially reduced to just giving throw-ins. I don't think. Right. I don't know. I think the referee was maybe even giving the offside decisions there, but that's kind of the referee's choice. But yeah, so we do have these provisions in place, but obviously at the higher levels, like there are so many officials at a game now that it would be very unlikely someone would get hauled out the crowd, because obviously if the referee gets injured, unless they've like literally collapsed or broken their collarbone or something, they can swap places with the 4th official, and even if you've got a dodgy hamstring, you can still do the 4th official job until the end of the game. But yeah, so that's that part. So we'll now just kind of go through what the role of each of the officials is. starting with the assistant referees, who are supposed to indicate when the ball leaves the field of play, and make decisions on corner kicks, goal kicks, or throw-ins. Decide on offside decisions. Let the referee know when a substitute's been requested, and also check for the goalkeeper being off the line and at penalties. So they can also, in some cases, be actually involved in doing the substitution procedure. So you'll see the assistant often putting their flag up to indicate a sub in games where there's not a fourth official, and if they're closer than the ref, they'll go and do that. And they can enter the field of play to kind of keep players a distance back at particularly corners, rather than the ref having to come all the way over to tell someone to retreat 10 yards. The assistant can do it if they're close by, and they can obviously come on if they need to get in amongst stuff, if there's a mass brawl, although often they are preferred to be given a watching brief, basically, to just kind of keep an eye out for who's punching who.
Yeah.
But
what did you think about the when we had like the extra referees behind the goal?
I thought predominantly it was a good thing in the sense of having an extra pair of eyes. The problem people seem to have is they didn't have flags, they didn't have anything. All they had was like a wee clicker in their hand, a wee buzzer. So you would hear people kind of saying a lot, why are they there? They're not making decisions. And obviously they were, because they were buzzing the ref, or they were talking in his ear. And there were examples. I'm trying to think. I mean, the most notable
classic example is what I'm thinking. I don't know if you're thinking of the same game, but the Dortmund Malaga game.
No, but you talk through that one first.
Well, I think it was a quarter-final. I think it was. So it was pretty much, yes, it was presumably the season that Dortmund got to the final. I think it was, yeah. So 2013. And Malaga had a decent side at the time. The referee on the day was Craig Thompson, one of our own. And I recall that Kevin Clancy was one of the referees behind the goals. I was just reminding myself of it there. And the Guardian, like, minute by minute thing has so Dortmund score a winner to make it 3-2 in the 93rd minute by Felipe Santana, not a player I remember at all.
No.
But it's described as unbelievable, incredible, incomprehensible. Lewandowski crosses from the left. 4 Borussia players are offside. It ping-pongs around a bit before breaking to Santana, who's offside again, and who taps in from a yard. What were those Scottish officials thinking there? Was the so yeah, and I think there's maybe another decision behind that Clancy didn't notice someone had dived, possibly. But yeah, it was all just a bit of a disaster.
The one I was thinking of viewing was a notable incident, the Inverness Celtic Scottish Cup semi-final, and Stephen McLean. Yes. Stephen McLean is in the background of that. That I think we can call it infamous non-handball decision by Josh Meekings. I mean, obviously it doesn't look good from the picture. His view is probably obscured by Meekings' body because he's kind of on the far side from him. But yeah, I think with VAR in place, like, these assistants are obviously obsolete anyway, and they probably, to me there was no harm in them being there. It wasn't like they were actively reducing the quality of decision making, but I don't know that it was something that you would ever have thought that would have been worth rolling out for every run of the mill game. But yeah, it was an interesting time with those. But yeah, with the laws of the game in terms of those, and we'll come back to those potentially in terms of what they're. In fact, we're probably going to skip over the additional assistant referee section anyway, because they are not. They're essentially not used anymore. I don't know the last time I saw a game. Well, in fact, I probably do. It was probably the last Scottish Cup final before VR came in. So presumably, the fourth official's job, to come back to that. Supervising the substitution procedure, you'll see them checking the studs and all the rest of it. Re-entry of a player following a signal from the referee. The assistant can do this as well, but it's usually only with the fourth official. So because I guess the 3 other officials, the referee and the 2 assistant referees, are always actively involved in the game. They're always on the eye out for throw-ins, offsides, all the rest of it. A fourth official can basically be standing with a player while plays rolling on and kind of telling the ref, okay, this guy's ready to come back on. Because you'll see it certainly was something in our championship season again that folk would get annoyed because if a player went off injured, they were kind of having to wait to come back on because the referee had, like, there wasn't someone there to check they weren't bleeding anymore, for example. So it had to wait for restart, but the fourth official can do that. The fourth official has a crucial job of supervising the replacement balls, becoming increasingly important in the Scottish Premiership, as we were talking about recently, because the SPFL appear to be running some sort of thing where you can win raffled off or buy balls that have been used to score goals. So every time there's a goal scored, there's a new ball comes out, which the Motherwell Hibs 6 game would have been an expensive afternoon for or maybe a profitable one, I don't know, but there'd have been a lot of balls being used. I did wonder
about that. Give it so you can buy the ball that Jack Baldwin scored an own goal for Ross County in a game that Rangers lost. I wonder, I mean, what is the market for that particular ball? Like, it's no family member will want to commemorate that of Jack Baldwin's, I wouldn't have thought. No Rangers fan wants to commemorate it because we got beat the Ross County. Would a Ross County fan want a ball that scored a goal in a famous victory over Rangers, even if it was at the wrong end? I don't know, but
However, if there's a title winning goal, I suspect that ball will go well. The fourth official is supposed to indicate the amount of added on time, obviously, but the decision on how much time is still made by the referee. For now, I suspect we are not far off the era of a timekeeper, but we'll wait and see on that. I think it would be a bad idea, but nonetheless. And the fourth official also has to inform the referee of what is described as irresponsible behaviour by any of the occupants of the technical area. Mikel Arteta going on the pitch, or whatever it is he does.
Out with his technical area.
We've already talked about at length about the punishments that are available to miscreants within the technical area. We talked about additional assistant referees. They're supposed to indicate when the ball's gone in. If there's a goal line decision, again, they can make decisions on corners and goal kicks, and they can also do whether the goalkeeper moves off the line. These are obviously in addition to supporting the referee if they spot any fouls or anything. And on the fourth official case, there was a famous incident with Andrew Dallas at Rugby Park where he instructed the referee to send off Manuel Pascali quite early on in a Kelly game. Kenny Shields lost the plot about it, and apparently, without saying anything libelous, apparently Andrew Dallas's wording in his match report may not have accurately reflected events, and he may have got himself into a bit of bother for that at the time. But so the fourth official can and should get involved, I guess, in giving decisions, as should the assistants when they're made. One thing from my point of view is, like, you see people getting annoyed a lot with assistants not immediately flagging a decision if it's going one way or another. And often, certainly when I was even kind of junior games, if I was on the line, the referee would often say, like, if you're not sure, like, make a subtle gesture to me about what way you think it's going to be, and then I'll kind of give you the nod, or I'll overrule you, depending on if he's got a better view. So if you know for sure what it is, you just give it. But if you're like, oh, I don't know if that took a touch, the assistant might like point like with his bare hand at what way he thinks it's going to be, and then the referee will like look over and give him a nod, or will make the decision, or so that's often what's going on, is there's a bit of communication going on. And I see people saying, oh, you know, because it's something that annoys me when you're in the crowd, and it's like, how you've got to make a decision. It's like, well, see, if you do not know, like, there are times where you literally do not know, and you do have to guess for a throw in. You have to guess. So often that's a consultation at that point that's being made there. There's stuff about reserve assistant referees, so you can have an extra official. Like, I'm pretty sure for the Scottish Cup final, they'll have about 5 referees on standby just in case, because they're not going to want to pull someone out the crowd of Hampden at the Scottish Cup final. That would not reflect well on our game at the on the world stage. That brings us on, and there are other sections on video match officials, but obviously this is another dive into VAR. They are a match official who may assist the referee to make a decision using replay footage only for a clear and obvious error or a serious missed incident. relating to a goal or no goal, penalty or no penalty, straight red card, mistaken identity. That's them. The mistaken identity is the funny one because there was an incident earlier this season where a Hearts player got booked and the referee booked the wrong player, and the VAR had to kind of go back. It was like I think it was like 5 or 6 minutes later, the referee kind of had to say it wasn't you. I have the feeling it was like a black player instead of a white player as well or something. It was like egregiously, obviously the wrong player. Not like if it was like Alex Cochrane and Gary Mackay-Steven when they both played for Hearts, where they're both like blonde-haired guys who played on the same side of the pitch. Where you could have won. In fact, it used to be Kingsley as well in that trio. I used to get them mixed up all the time. So yeah, there is also an assistant VAR typically, and certainly in games in Scotland you have 2 officials, and the assistant VAR will continue to watch the television footage of the live game while the VAR is like checking an incident to make sure, because obviously you don't want to be sitting checking one possible penalty and therefore then totally miss a second. What would happen if there was then a third? I don't know. Keep a record of any VR related incidents or any communication or technology problems relevant to Aberdeen versus Livingston from not that long ago, but they're meant to make a note. And there's been a few VR technical issues. There was the Scottish Cup semi-final last season where it packed in for a spell. Was it Aberdeen Rangers, and it just stopped working for about 15 minutes? Is that right?
Yeah, that was the League Cup semi, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remembered it being, and it was just about 15 minutes where it was just not operational. The AVR, the assistant VR, can assist the VR's communication with the referee. Obviously, notably that Liverpool Spurs incident, which is increasingly looking like it could have implications on a title race in England. They are supposed to kind of, especially it can be their job to tell the referee when to stop. Basically, if the VR's busy watching stuff, he can tell the ref, okay, delay, or whatever. Record the time lost, which I don't think happens nearly enough. I don't think they often note how much time's been lost for a check. And they can also be the one who communicates information about a VAR decision to the relevant parties. So that tends to be broadcasters, I think, who are maybe getting their information from the AVR because, when there's something going on, they can kind of say, okay, this is what we gave. There's plenty more time on VAR to come, but that's kind of the notable aspects of that. There is then some graphics on VAR signals. Now, this is our assistant referee signals. This is not going to be particularly useful for those of you listening to the podcast, but we are also putting these on YouTube. So I've shared the screen just in case. The substitution gesture is basically lifting the flag with both hands, like above, in front of your face almost. The throw-ins, we know about a throw-in and how you point for that. A corner kick, you point down to the ground. A free kick for the attacking team, or like a free kick, you kind of signal up in the air, basically, and wave in the direction of the team. A goal kick, you point obviously kind of straight in front of you. Offside, you put your flag straight up in the air first, and then you indicate to the referee after the referee's seen it and to the players which area of the pitch it's on. So you kind of lift your arm high for the far away side, and the middle for the middle, and kind of in front of you for the near side. And those are the main signals that there are. And I've just realised the screen share won't have been working since we cut out, but that's fine. It's back now, so I'll go back and show those. Then there are signals for the additional assistant referee, so they are supposed to signal for a goal, apparently. Again, irrelevant at this stage. FAQs, we've only got one for you, Ewan, here, so an easy one, I suspect. The referee is injured during the match and unable to continue. Who will replace the referee?
Well, usually the fourth official, but could be one of the assistant referees.
Yeah, the competition rules should say, but it should be there should be some. So basically, they've asked you a question and then there isn't an answer. It's up to whatever the competition says. And particularly, it should be clear whether the referee should be replaced by a fourth official or a senior official, but it could be one or the other. All right, so that brings us to the end of another riveting one, which was the match officials. We will get on to it. We are getting, I keep promising this after everyone, but we're getting closer to the nuts and bolts of stuff that actually affects the game. Because, but thank you for watching this one, and we'll move on to the next, Lawson.